Ladies and gentlemen, we have a real treat in store here tonight for us on Sportswire Radio, sportinarium.com/player, and also on my Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. She is somebody that has been somebody that is really going to have a very, very big 2022. She has been a huge part of the LWF, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, and many other pro wrestling companies in the Northwest scene. She is the heroine of heavy metal. She is the rock princess from Pennies. She is also a huge part of Shining Wizard, which we have talked quite a bit here on Sportswire Radio with myself and the Asset Stephen Cross and Wildfire Nate Reese. And in fact, she's so big that we're lucky just to even have her because unfortunately she's had some technical difficulties with her camera, but we're still going to get her here. And she's a real trooper to say the least. And without further ado, here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show, pro wrestling star here from the LWF and Odyssey Pro Wrestling, Helana Razor. My friend, how are you?
Well, that was an introduction. Thank you so much. I'm good. How are you?
I think after that, right, forget about the technical difficulties, forget about everything else. I mean, that introduction should give you a little bit of power. And I'll have to say, I hope it's heavy metal like, because you're a big heavy metal fan. And you know some great crooners and singers. And obviously, we try our best, but we don't pretend to be a Ronnie James Dio or a Rob Halford or anybody else that can belt out a tune or two. But obviously, Helena, it's a tremendous honor to have you. Obviously, last week on Sportswire Radio, myself and the asset Stephen Cross and Wildfire Nate Reese, who you know very well, and he revealed a few things we didn't know, and I don't know if maybe the wrestling world knew, but obviously we set the tables in terms of what you'd be bringing to the table here for us. But for those that are watching and listening to us on Sportswire Radio, I mean, talk to me about what it's going to mean to you to be a part of the upcoming Lancashire Riot, where you have a chance to be our first ever women's champion here in the LWF.
So, first of all, I think you did a good job of trying to say Lancashire.
I've been trying for the past month. It has been the running joke here, and I had Bob Costin spell it out for me. Nate Reese gave me kind of a breakdown 3 and 4 different times, and I heard Steve Bibby when he was on, yet I still can't get the hang of it. It's pretty much going to be the running joke, I think, for the rest of my life in terms of how to pronunciate that.
I think you're getting better. A few more tries, and I think you'll be on top of it. But yeah, the Lancashire Riot. First of all, it's a massive honour to be involved in the match. It's making history. The first women's riot to crown the first LWF women's champion. I'm going to win, of course. I'm going to bang some heads while I'm there. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. I kind of want to prove myself and prove that you can follow your dreams and you can be a wrestler as well as a mom and as well as working. Because I have 2 children. I've got a 5-year-old and 11-month-old. And I was back in the gym when my son was 7 weeks old. So yeah, hopefully all the training, all the hard work, the sweat, it'll be worth it. And yeah, I'm just going to put in so much effort and yeah, rock the house.
I'm you're gonna definitely rock the house. I have a good feeling, regardless of whether you win or not, you'll definitely rock the house. And Shining Wizard has been doing quite a good job at that. But you said a couple of things interesting, and I get a sense that for you winning this, it would be a lot more special for a few different reasons. Because obviously, you are juggling the fact that you do have a young family. You are somebody that looks to be a role model to women. And especially here in the LWF, this is the first time that we are going to have something like this and that we are going to crown a new women's champion. I know for you, you've spoke a lot about your family, juggling your career as a wrestler, and also this opportunity here. I have to feel for you, Helena, would be extra special and maybe more important to maybe some of the other participants. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, they've all got their reasons. They wouldn't be in the match if they didn't want to win. I feel like for me personally, it'd be special because my baby's going to be there. I want them to see their mummy as a champion. I know that the competition's going to be absolutely grueling. The 14 other ladies I'm going to be against are top athletes, performers. They're amazing. The competition is going to be really stiff, and I think it means a lot to every single one of them. We're all hungry for gold. What girl doesn't like gold?
Well, that's a fair point, and certainly I am sure that you're going to be very worthy of winning that gold amongst several of the other participants. I mean, for you, in terms of what you need to do to win, now don't tip your hand. Don't tell us what you're going to do in order to win, because obviously you should never do that. But are there a few particular participants that you're watching most that you say, you know what, it's going to be between me and so and so? I mean, set the tables for us and maybe a few participants that you might be watching that could be your competition in order for you to win the riot and then get that championship.
Oh, so there's a few. You've definitely got to keep your eye on Tonga. She is a women's champion in 2 other wrestling promotions. She's just absolutely taken off, and she's
Tonga's
got
all over the place. My goodness, Tonga is just, I feel like everywhere I go, I see Tonga somewhere.
Yeah, she's incredible, and she always she fights hard. She is in it to win it. She, like, her entrance music, obsessed. Like, she knows she's good. She is insane. She's great at what she does. So she's definitely one to watch. Melanie Price.
We spoke about Melanie Price here on the show. I've actually gone on the record before you came on here, and I thought she would be one of the favorites. So the It Girl, Melanie Price, is definitely one of the favorites, I think, to win this.
She doesn't like to do the hard grafting. She'll happily.
Oh, we're aware.
But yeah, she is a grafter, but she's sneaky. She is smart. She knows how to play it. When everyone's not paying attention or watching, she'll have a plan. She'll go into it with a plan. So she's definitely one to watch. Kelly Van Ness, good friend of mine. She is incredible. She has the crowd behind her. So I feel like that could be a really big advantage for her going into it, having the hearts of the fans. It definitely spurs you on. So yeah, I think they're 3 to kind of keep my eye on.
Kelly Van Ness, you spoke about, and we were speaking about her with Wildfire Nate Reese a few weeks back, and we almost kind of equated her to sort of like the Reynaldo on the women's side, just in terms of the crowd that she has behind her. And is that something you do feel could be important in something like this? Because we haven't seen something like this in the LWF. And if you have that extra push, or as Reynaldo would say, the 12th man. So in this case, I guess, would Kelly have the 12th woman? I mean, how do we break that down, Helena? I mean, I'm trying to figure out a way to kind of, break it down and make everybody kind of feel on the same page. But the point is that, is there a meaning here in terms of having the crowd behind you because of something that we haven't seen in the LWF? I mean, for you, in order maybe to combat that, I mean, what's your thoughts?
I mean, absolutely. If you get the crowd behind you, it spurs you on. You're willing to take risks that you wouldn't normally. It's all the adrenaline going. I mean, she's got the Van Ness Express behind her. I know for me, like, you feed off the crowd. If they're cheering for you, you're going to put in 110 for them. And I think she'll stop at nothing to please everyone. And like, same here, we'll both do what we can to give a happy crowd.
Oh, I have a very good feeling that you guys will definitely do that. And of course, if you like what you hear from the LWF, please give the LWF a follow on Twitter at LWF, also Instagram at the LWF Wrestling. Also like the Facebook page, and also give Helana Razor a follow on Instagram at Helana_Razor, because she is somebody that's going to be at the top of the discussion when it comes to winning the first ever Lancashire Riot here. And I'm going to continue again to continue to butcher that name. And for the love of me, I'll try as hard as I can, Helena. But obviously, We are very honored to have her here with us live on Sportswire Radio, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. She's a real trooper, even despite technical difficulties. In fact, I'm going to let you know something. We were supposed to have the natural born fighter RP Davis right after you, and he had an issue. So the fact that you're with us here is obviously a credit to us, because otherwise we would have just had a day of cancellation. So, but obviously, thank you for that. But I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. And of course, if you like what you hear from Sportswire Radio, do give us a like here on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. Helena, I have to ask you this question, because obviously you've touched upon the fact that it's been a big part of what you do, and having a family, and then being a part of watching you and everything that you do. Why do you think it took so long that we were to crown a new women's champion, or our first ever women's champion here in the LWF? I mean, Steve Bibby, we talked about it with him, and it was almost, I feel like you ladies had to force Steve Bibby to finally come up with this idea. So why do you think it took so long?
I feel like a few years ago, maybe there wasn't enough of us LWF ladies to have a riot. And obviously we went into lockdown, so we couldn't do anything then. But after training and hard work in the gym, there's so many like talent now that's ready to compete. And I know that at the last show, we all kind of got into a bit of a heated argument and a bit of a scuffle, because yeah, we want a belt, the same as the men, and it's crazy that it's taken this long. But it's 2022, time for fresh starts after the whole COVID and the lockdown. I'm fed up of COVID. I'm sick
Listen,
of
I'm
hearing.
in New York, and we're pretty much like Australia light when it comes to everything here. You would think New York, and it's like, oh, we're all free, we're like Florida. No, here in New York, it's basically like it's living like we're in COVID, like March 2020. But that's a
Oh my,
different story. I have a background in news and journalism, so I'm gonna plead the fifth on some of those things. But I can tell you personally, Helena, I am sick and tired of COVID mandates and COVID restrictions. That's all I'm gonna say without incriminating myself.
yeah, I think like obviously having the lockdown, it's kind of held back things for the women's division in LWF. But now we've got the platform to do it on, and the restrictions have been lowered. I mean, everyone is definitely on board for fighting for this title, and we want to represent Lancashire and the LWF, and we want to represent women as well. I think women can do everything that men can do, so why shouldn't we have a belt as well?
Listen, I mean, right now, arguably, who is the biggest wrestler in the world? It's Becky Lynch. I mean, right now, you think about who is the most mainstream wrestler in the entire universe. It's Becky Lynch, right? And she's a female. And before that, it was Ronda Rousey, and she was a female. So at the end of the day, I think when it comes to the gap between the men and the women in professional wrestling, I don't think there really is much of a gap anymore, because I think people of all backgrounds, all walks of life will certainly appreciate and respect what you gals bring to the ring and everything else. And again, like I just said, Becky Lynch is arguably the most successful wrestler in the world right now, and she's a female. So that tells
Yeah.
you that it's been long overdue that you guys have gotten the respect that you deserve. And obviously, I'm excited to see what happens here at the Riot. I'm going to still figure out how to pronunciate that, but I appreciate that I listened to you there, and I think maybe I'll get it right one day. But I did want to talk about, obviously, the LWF very quickly, and what has it meant to you to be a part of the LWF and see the company grow so much since COVID? Because I really feel like with each event, the company has gotten bigger and bigger, and I think the events have gotten better and better, especially when it comes to what we're going to have here on February the 12th.
Absolutely. So I attended the second ever LWF show, and I've been to every show since. Like I started going as a fan, just as I started my wrestling training. And yeah, it's been incredible to watch it grow. It's kind of come from strength to strength, and seeing everyone improve, because back then it was a trainee show. But as it's got bigger, we've got bigger names. We've had Sonna Durson, we've had Big Guns Joe, We've had the models, they're going to be on the next show. So it's incredible, and I feel like it's an amazing platform to people that aren't as experienced. Like me, I've got so much more to learn, but like it's given us the platform to work with other more experienced people. Like we've got Lana Austin, Tonga, we've got Alexis Falcon, Gia Adams. They're all in the riot. So just being able to compete with them, like no matter who wins the belt, I guarantee we'll all have learned something. Like, well, I'll definitely have learned something. And hopefully, I take gold away from the experience. But if I didn't, it'd be a learning curve, if that makes sense. And
Well,
it's just a matter.
yeah. Well, I think you've definitely got a very, very good shot, and it's a very, very deep field because obviously Alexis Falcon, Gia Adams, in their own right, have had a lot of success, and Lana Austin as well. And again, it's a very, very, very deep pool here. I'm almost curious about this, Helene, and I want to get your thoughts on it in terms of what's it like in the locker room with the women versus the males? Do you guys feel maybe more of a bond? Is it different than, let's say, again, because we speak with all the different guys in the men's side of it, and you're our first woman from the LWF that has been on the show here. And I'm curious for your thoughts. Do you feel a different bond, a different level of respect, or is there more competition? I mean, what's it like between all of you in the locker room?
For me personally, I think LWF is one of the best locker rooms I've ever worked with. We're kind of like a family. Everyone has massive respect for each other. Everyone's very polite and caring. Like there's a massive willingness to work with each other, if that makes sense. Like everyone just helps each other out because at the end of the day, we want to put on the best show for the crowd. And I feel like everyone really gets on, if that makes sense. There's no drama, there's no fuss.
So there's
Everyone
no
wants
Becky and Charlotte, there's no Brett and Sean. It's pretty much everybody's all happy go lucky and happy to be there then.
like between me and you and the radio, it's like everyone's dead laid back, everyone's chilled out. Like I'm like really happy with the atmosphere. It's definitely an incredible atmosphere. Everyone looks out for each other.
No question that that matches a lot what we've heard about over the past several months for the LWF as a whole. And I think that's also a huge credit to our owner and Mr. Steve Bibby. And it was a tremendous honor to have Steve here with us live a couple of weeks ago. And I almost have to ask you, Helena, what has Steve Bibby meant to your career?
I personally think Steve Bibby is just wonderful. He has given opportunity to so many people, and I have so much time for him. I've got so much respect for him, and I'm sure a lot of other people do. He loves wrestling, and you can tell that he loves wrestling. And I feel like if there's ever a problem, I can go speak to him, and he's just wonderful. Really, I can't say enough nice things about him. But yeah, giving opportunities to people, that's a massive thing that I really respect him for. And like I wouldn't have had half the experiences that I have now if it wasn't for him giving me a platform to do it on. So yeah, it started like LWF, and then like I've been with Odyssey. I've done a show for PCW. I'm currently a part of the Bolton Town Wrestling roster. And if it wasn't for LWF, like having the footage, the photos, the matches under my belt, like I wouldn't have had any of that. And also training at their training school, I've learned so much. So yeah, I'm very thankful to Steve Bibby. I owe him a lot.
Absolutely. And again, here's a guy that puts in so much time into the LWF to try to give people opportunities. Here's a guy that gives back so much, and I almost have to make you chuckle, Helena. Have you gotten a personal letter or a personal note from Steve Bibby? Because everybody we've had on, from Reynaldo down, has at least shared us one story of Steve Bibby writing a personal note after the show. Have you gotten one of those?
Everybody gets a personal little touches like that. We like it warms your heart. You don't like you just come away feeling so good, and you just feel appreciated as well. It is the little things, and yeah, it's a very nice personal touch, and it shows how much he cares about his roster, I think.
Yeah, something tells me Vince McMahon isn't doing that for his roster. Something tells me Tony Khan isn't doing that. Something tells me Billy Corgan isn't doing that for the NWA. And that's obviously a credit to Steve Bibby and all the great things that he has done for the LWF. And of course, giving us the opportunity to speak with so many great people, like, of course, Helana Razor, our heroine of heavy metal, the rock princess from Pennies. So obviously, it is a tremendous honor to have Helena here, despite some technical difficulties and some other issues. But we certainly appreciate any time that she has given us. And I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportzwire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. Helena, I have to ask you then. I mean, Shining Wizard, we spoke about them quite a bit, and we know that somebody else from Shining Wizard is going to have a chance here, just maybe to get some gold here in the future coming up here in Eitan Steen, of course, because Eitan Steen's going to be in a huge matchup coming up here to decide who's going to square off with Reynaldo for his next title defense. And obviously, he'll be in the ring with the likes of course, somebody we know very well here in Mr. Nick Cutter. So speak to me about Shining Wizard and also Eitan Steen back in the picture here. We're going to see him also at the Riot event here coming up February the 12th, which is just a few short weeks away. And what's your thoughts on his chances here?
I think he's got an amazing chance. He's an incredible athlete. He isn't afraid to take risks. He will just do crazy stuff. So we were doing an 8-man tag. It was Full Metal Mayhem, and it was Shining Wizard against Synergy. And I just look up, and he's like there diving off a balcony, like just crazy stuff like that. He isn't afraid to do what it takes to get the job done. So I have every faith in him. Shining Wizard will support him. I'm sure they'll be at ringside as well. Obviously, I'll be prepared. Oh, we don't cheat or anything like that. We're just there to cheer him on.
No, you guys aren't the wrecking crew. It's fair to say that we know. That we know for sure here over the past few months in talking LWF. You guys have a different angle of it. And obviously, again, Soner Durson's also going to be a part of this match. And we've seen Soner Durson here in the LWF, and he is everywhere. In fact, he's going to be wrestling against the natural born fighter RP Davis here in a few weeks. We're going to see him, of course, everywhere. I mean, Soner Durson is another part of this here. I mean, what a match. I mean, you could talk about your match, a part of the Rumble here, the Riot, and then you've got obviously the 8-man tag, which we spoke about on the show, and also the match that's also going to be another rematch here in the LWF when it comes to the 2 out of 3 falls final curtain match between John McKinney, J-Mac, and Lachlan Sharp. But this match here very well could steal the show from you ladies. I mean, Helena, I mean, listen, Eitan may steal, he may steal some of your thunder here. I have a feeling.
Well, should I just go? No, I'm just kidding. No, I understand what you're saying. Obviously, no one will steal the women's thunder. Just saying, but yeah, they have every opportunity to be a close second to us.
Absolutely. No, listen, I think the point here is that this card is really stacked. I mean, just you think about it again, what you guys are going to bring to the table here and making history. We have a 2 out of 3 falls final curtain match between Lachlan Sharp and John McKinney. We have obviously the 8-man tag match, which we spoke about, the Models and Synergy against the Merseyside Mercenary Squad and the Wrecking Crew. I mean, you think about, again, obviously also the triple threat match we just talked about between Cutter, Durston, and Eitan Steen. I mean, it's a really, really stacked card. And I can't stress this enough. If you have 10 pounds, 12 pounds, 15 pounds, whatever it is, you need to go out February the 12th, not only see Helana Razor make history, but this entire card. Because if you thought the Vias for Vengeance event was great, you thought the Fightmare Before Christmas was great, you thought the Winter of Discontent was great, wait till you see February the 12th, the Lancashire Riot in that event, everybody there, I guarantee you it's going to be better than the Royal Rumble. It's going to be better than the Super Bowl. It's going to be better than Brock and Bobby. It's going to be better than Seth and Roman. It's going to be better than anything that AEW is going to put together. So you need to make sure, if you can, and you're in the UK, go to the Buckshaw Village Community Center. I'll guarantee you it's going to be worth it. So that's obviously a lot going on there. And Helena, I also wanted to ask you very quickly in terms of Odyssey Pro Wrestling, because we know that you've been a part of that also. And obviously, we saw that you scored a win at Pure Fear against Jenny B. And something tells me that one day I think we're going to see many more matches from you at Odyssey Pro Wrestling.
I would like to think so. So Odyssey Pro Wrestling are based in Morecambe, and I got the opportunity to wrestle for them in Blackpool, which, yes, I was victorious against Jenny B. I'll be there on Saturday at Odyssey Pro Wrestling to help out. I'll be behind the merch stand, and British wrestling, we always have to have a raffle. So,
well, I'm going to ask you that in a few minutes. I'm going to ask you about a raffle in a few minutes. Trust me, I will.
So I'll be helping out with the raffle. Like, I just love being there talking to the fans, because wrestling is just so real to the Morecambe crowd. They are so into it. They love it. And I think, like, they make magic, do Odyssey Pro Wrestling. I have never heard screams like it. The first show that they did back after COVID was literally like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Just that the crowd were so mad for it. They loved it. And that's what it's all about. It's making people happy. But yeah, I'm dead excited for the Odyssey show. They're going to have a rumble as well. Their version of a rumble. And
yes, the overboard. They're calling it overboard.
mm-hmm. And yeah, that's definitely one to watch as well. Incredible talent. Yeah, if you're in Morecambe on Saturday, get going, get yourself a ticket, support the wrestlers, buy the merch, and it'll just be an incredible show.
Absolutely, and we know the VIP is sold out, but you can still get a general admission ticket for only $8.50. So essentially, just a little over £8. You can go out and go buy a ticket and see so many other wrestlers that'll be on the card. So obviously, make sure you know what you need to do. There's a lot going on here in professional wrestling, and Odyssey has been a big part of that. We've spoke a lot about Odyssey in the past, and I cannot thank them enough for their support and giving us many opportunities. We'll be speaking with Lucy Simons here upcoming this Thursday. We'll run down the overboard card. Maybe we'll work in a Helana Razor mention or two. I'm sure we'll probably find a way to do that. But you said something interesting here. Well, trust me, I will definitely make sure that I can guarantee you one thing, Helena. I may not be able to get the LWF name right, but I'll get Odyssey Pro Wrestling's name right, and I'll get your name right, and I'll definitely mention you at least a few times with Lucy. And shout out to Lucy, because I saw Lucy was watching us here on Facebook. But you said something interesting, Helena, and I want to go back to it because of obviously your knowledge of heavy metal and your love of heavy metal. I kind of feel like right now pro wrestling shows in the UK are similar to like heavy metal shows in the 80s, where that energy, that adrenaline, that crowds, whether it's, I don't know, an Iron Maiden concert or an old Black Sabbath concert, or obviously I'm thinking of Metallica, those early days, or even for you in the Northwest, Motorhead is an example. Def Leppard to an extent, but I don't really consider Def Leppard heavy metal anymore. But the point of the matter is that heavy metal in pro wrestling, I've always felt, even going back to the days when I was growing up as a kid, when ECW was very relevant and was one of the premier companies around, there was a lot of crossover with heavy metal. Do you feel some of those similarities between heavy metal and professional wrestling?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I wasn't born in the 80s. I'm a 90s chick, me. But I love like Motley Crue, Metallica, bands like that.
Sure.
And it's like, it's the energy from the crowd. Like, I've been to see Metallica, Rammstein. I was lucky enough to see Motorhead before Lenny passed on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's magic. It's the energy. It's the crowd. It's people screaming your name. Like, I think I got my music taste actually from wrestling, because there was a lot of heavy metal. Like, you think of all the pay-per-views and they'd have different bands. Even Creed. I love Creed. Like, they're a Christian metal band, and but I remember listening to those when I was like very young.
Well, the
Which I
guitarist of Creed, Mark Tremonti, started Alter Bridge, and Alter Bridge is kind of like the
it's just
true heavy metal version of Creed. Creed kind of was like, compared when the era they were in, they were definitely like a hard rock outlet, but Alter Bridge is definitely a heavy metal group, and Mark Tremonti was basically the founding father of Creed.
yeah, it's just um, it's just the atmosphere and the people as well. I've been to a few festivals as well in my time, and I feel like metal fans are just so laid back, and um, I don't know how to describe it. It's
I
just
almost
like the
I should almost bring it up. I mean, have you been to Download?
I haven't been to Download. I've been to Sonosphere Festival the first
Okay,
2 years.
I know
This is going,
Sonosphere.
what, 10 years ago, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more.
Yep.
And they had the big four.
Yep. Metallica,
So,
Anthrax, Megadeth, and Slayer.
yeah, which incredible. I was lucky enough to see Linkin Park as well.
Okay.
Um, Limp Bizkit, Alien Ant Farm. I saw Iggy Pop as well. That was so cool. uh, Alice Cooper. But just like the whole crowd, it was such a fun experience, and I kind of like looked around. Everyone was like drinking beer and just moshing out, and I just looked around and I thought, yeah, these are my people. Like, um, just don't want to conform to what everyone else is doing, and they're not afraid to be themselves. And I admired that so much. Growing up, there was a lot of we call them chavs in high school. I don't know if you guys have chavs in America.
Well, I mean, well, there was two types of people. There was like the posers, which were kind of like the kids that sort of liked rock, but they really weren't into like the true metal. Then you had what was called the headbangers. The headbangers were the ones that were like wore the Metallica shirt or the Iron Maiden shirt or the Motorhead shirt or a Ramones shirt, and they knew like
Mhm.
every band possible. So there was two types of people. If you were into rock, you were either one of the headbangers or you were one of the posers. So that would maybe be kind of related to what you're talking about. I guess would be fair to say.
So a chav in England is like the opposite of a metalhead. We call them metalheads.
Okay.
um, like into more I'm not like dance music kind of,
Okay.
but
Okay.
in my high school, all the chavs would pick on the metalheads, and like it wasn't a good thing to listen to metal and stuff in my school anyway. And I
Listen,
got
it wasn't much better for me. Listen, I mean,
uh,
it wasn't much better for me. I mean, in college, it was, or university, as you would call it, it was even worse. So, I mean,
yeah.
that's kind of society in a whole.
So I got picked on quite a lot for being a metalhead and listening to the kind of music that I listen to. Um, so I feel like having that involved in the wrestling as well, I kind of feel like this is who I really am, and I want to put that through with the wrestling. Like now, I'm covered in tattoos. I've got loads of ear piercings. Half my hair's bloody blue. Like I felt so long I kind of hidden who I was, and to conform with what everyone else is doing. And now I'm just a big goofball who likes rock and roll and wrestling. And but yeah, I feel like the music and the wrestling, it kind of goes hand in hand. It like both things just create magic and energy and good vibes. And I think the world needs more of that. Life's too short, isn't it?
Oh,
Who cares?
listen, especially in this world, we definitely need more of it.
Yeah. Even like watching wrestling, I got picked on for watching wrestling. Like, oh my gosh, it's fake, and they don't even hit each other. It doesn't hurt. It's all acting. It's like doing it myself. I like come home from training or from matches, and I'm covered in bruises, and they're trying to like crawl out the bath. Like it does hurt. Um, yeah, it's just being who you are and true to yourself, and music and wrestling are just so linked in with that. And who doesn't love to headbang?
Oh, listen, I mean, to quote a Megadeth album, the world needs a hero, and maybe, just maybe, Helana Razor could be that hero that we need, certainly in the LWF. We're going to find out because she very well could be holding gold as the first ever LWF Women's Champion here. And we've got another 5 or 10 more minutes with her. We really, really appreciate her time. And I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. Of course, if you like what you hear from Helena, do give her a follow on Instagram at Helena_Razor. Also, the LWF, do follow on Facebook at LWF, Twitter, LWF, Instagram, the LWF Wrestling. Also, give a follow to Shining Wizard on Instagram as well. We got to make sure we shout out Shining Wizard and Big Ron and, of course, Eitan Steen, everything that Shining Wizard is doing, because Shining Wizard are definitely waving the heavy metal flag. So you want to follow them on Instagram at Shining_Wizard_LWF. So make sure you follow Shining Wizard, because I guarantee you they're going to headbang their way to some championships. And just maybe Eitan Steen and Helena could be holding some gold here in the near and distant future. So definitely stay tuned for that. Helena, give me your goals for 2022 in wrestling. What are your goals this year upcoming?
Gold, definitely. I'm definitely hungry for a bit of gold. I'm coming back from injury. I got injured pretty badly last year. I've got the all clear now, so I just kind of I don't want to take my place back where I was. I want to progress even further. I'd love to work with different talent that is very established, and I want to learn from them. I've already been put through a table, so that's not on my list anymore. I think I'd probably like to work more intergender as well. Like, I love working with the ladies. I love working with the guys. I just kind of want to expand and kind of be a jack of all trades, if that makes sense. I just want to have fun. I feel like if I didn't enjoy doing it, what was the point of doing it? I want to meet more people in the wrestling community and just make people happy. As long as I can make the fans happy, then I'm doing my job right.
Oh, I'm sure you're going to do your job right. I am sure that you are going to do a lot of those great things. And speaking of intergender, I almost have to ask you, because I'm sure you've heard the comments by now by Wildfire Nate Reese and the Asset Stephen Cross to kind of set the tables here from what we'd expect from you. I mean, what's your impressions of them in the LWF? And I know that Nate has been a big part behind the scenes, obviously, with the academy and training, but I know now he's kind of on a different side of things than maybe you and Shining Wizard would be. And certainly the asset Stephen Cross, he's had his run-ins with Shining Wizard. So I'd love to know what your perspective is on Wildfire Nate Reese and the asset Stephen Cross, because I am sure they'll be listening to this, and I'm sure they'll have a response or two when they're back on with us this Friday.
Well, hi guys. I'll start with Stephen Cross. I mean, how incredible does Stephen Cross look? Those abs, I think, were flipping chiseled by Greek gods. He is incredible. He works so hard in the ring and in the gym. Like, I don't think I know anyone that works as hard as him in the gym. It's insane. Like, I think I was talking to him, and he was talking about he goes to the gym on Christmas. I'm like, what is Christmas? It's like, oh, we're gonna get them gains in. But in the ring, he is a hothead, and with all the talent and the physique and the personality, just I think his hot-headedness will be his downfall. The crowd love to scream at him. He screams at the crowd. But I think he could like lose it in an instant kind of thing. I think his temper's going to get the best of him. But he's just tough as nails. I'd pity anyone that faces him because they're cruising for a bruising. But with Nate, I feel like I was in his corner cheering him on. I'm like, yeah, I want you to have the opportunities. I want you to have that match, because he came back and there was a lot of miscommunication, and he didn't get to wrestle for quite a few shows.
He had his own raffle challenge that he was a part of.
He did. Yeah, it was great doing the raffle. I don't think he was too happy about it.
We joked about it on the air, so we definitely spoke about it a few times.
and now he's turned to the dark side, and I think he just broke a lot of hearts because the crowd loved him, and then boom, everyone was shocked and gutted. I hope he knows what he's getting himself into, the naughty boy. But yeah, he is got a lot of experience, and he's been wrestling for years. So I've definitely learned a lot from him through training. But yeah, so I think maybe some of Cross's hothead has rubbed off on Nate.
Well, it looks like it. I mean, certainly we'll see. I mean, Wildfire Nate Reese is definitely going to have his hands full with Bob Costin, and we had Bob Costin on with us last week, and Bob had a lot to say, and Bob actually gave up his spot on the February 12th event upcoming to Wildfire Nate Reese's. So who knows what that's going to entail, and I'm sure that Mr. Costin and Mr. Reese will definitely continue to speak in their war of words, and certainly after what Nate Reese did to him in the ring at the Winter of Discontent, something tells me that when those two cross paths, it's going to definitely need an entire locker room to split them, almost with you and the ladies. And obviously we saw with Cutter and Reynaldo, all that needed to be broken up. I got a feeling it could be times 10 when it comes to certainly Mr. Reese and Mr. Costa and the asset Stephen Cross. We know is going to be a huge part of things here in the future for the LWF. And Helena, I wanted to ask you this question before I get closing thoughts and one or two other questions from you, because I see you as such a role model for young women because of the fact that, yes, you have 2 children, but you didn't stop. You talked about the fact that after 7 weeks you gave birth, you were out there working out and you were training. Professional wrestling is not an easy thing to be able to juggle while having a young family. Becky Lynch, as an example, took a long time off after she gave birth and was going to give birth. Lacey Evans is another example. Last year, we haven't seen her because she was pregnant. Ronda Rousey, we haven't seen Ronda Rousey in a ring in years. I mean, she started a family, but yet you didn't do what Becky Lynch did. You didn't do what Ronda Rousey did. You didn't do what Lacey Evans did. You literally said, okay, I gave birth and I'm going right back to training. I'm going right back to wrestling. I mean, that's a message. Leave aside professional wrestling, because it used to be when a woman had a child, it was like, okay, they weren't going to work anymore. They weren't doing anything. I mean, I remember when I was born, my mother didn't go right to work right away. It was like, okay, you're just going to go out and just, take some time off and relax, raise the family. No, you went out literally, Helena, and you went right back to the gym. You were ready to go right back into the ring. I mean, that's got to be such an empowering message, I think, for young women. And I almost have to ask you this question, and it's almost a similar one that was kind of phrased in a Nike commercial to Charles Barkley many, many, many years ago when I was a little boy. And I'm going to ask you in pretty much the same way. Do you consider yourself a role model, Helena?
I mean, I'm just like a goofball from a small town in West Yorkshire. A lot of people, because I am a single mum, so I've kind of done it on my own. I have a wonderful partner who's very supportive, but every time I've gone to the gym, my baby's come with me. I've had him like strapped to me in a wrap, and I would have people coming up to me and say, "Oh my gosh, you're such an inspiration. You're incredible. I can't believe you're doing this." And I don't know. I can't, like, I love the compliment. Don't get me wrong, but I just think, no, I'm just some weird girl with tattoos and blue hair.
You might have tattoos. You might be weird. You might be a goofball, but you know what? Not many people could say, hey, you know what? I just had a kid and I'm going to go out now and I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go wrestle at all these companies and all throughout the different weekends. I mean, that's not an easy thing. I mean, it's hard enough to have a 9-to-5 job and on top of that, be able to raise a family, but yet you're continuing your journey to be a professional wrestler. And I'm not saying it just to inflate your ego. I'm not saying it just to, because you came on with us. No, I'm making a real point. I mean, listen, it's like anything in life. No matter what you did, the fact that you're juggling something and you have responsibilities that I couldn't hold a candle to. I don't have a family. I don't have kids. I don't know what that's like. And I'm a male. So for me, it wouldn't mean anything. But you're a woman and you're a young woman growing in society here. You have 2 kids, and on top of that, you're continuing your career as a professional wrestler, and it's a pretty successful one. So that's why I kind of asked that question. And I really think that you are a role model. I really think that you are inspirational. And I think that you are empowering a lot of people, at least in these different small towns and everywhere you go, because people are looking at that and saying, you know what? Helana Razor, if she can do it, I can do it. If Helana Razor can go out there and train, if she can look great and kick some ass and live the life the way she wants to, then I can do it. Having a family is not a barrier anymore to going out and doing the things that you want to. And again, to me, it's impressive because, again, Becky Lynch, she took over a year off. Ronda Rousey, we haven't seen in years. Lacey Evans, we haven't seen. And yet, you did it. You continued 7 weeks right after you gave birth. You were in the gym. I mean, I couldn't think of an instance. I think the average person wouldn't think of something like that. Yet you did it. So I think it shows to the kind of person that you are. And I realize, well, you do have kids and you probably have to put them to bed and everything else going on. So I wanted to, before I get closing thoughts from you, and I can't thank you enough for giving us this opportunity, even sharing a few minutes about your journey and your career and everything else you've done. And I always like to ask this question, Helana, to anybody I have that comes on the show, whether it's politicians, wrestlers, athletes, because I'm not a wrestling podcast. I'm a radio show, and I talk with all different types of people from all backgrounds, all walks of life, all over the world. So I'm going to ask you this same question here. Is there one or two moments for you, Helana, that stand out most in your career so far?
Oh, wow, there's so many. I just want to say thank you as well for that massive compliment, because to me, I just do it. Like, it's nice to hear that I could be a role model to people. I don't think about it. I just kind of crack on with it. Like, I'm exhausted. It's hard going to the gym, working out, doing all the meal prep. I mean, like, I was in incredible shape when I was 6 months postpartum. Like, my abs were popping. I mean, Christmas has happened, so I need a few more gym sessions to get back to that. But the moments that kind of stand out to me, first of all, was Full Metal Mayhem. I was the first female in the LWF main eventing, and the first female in like a hardcore kind of match. So yeah, kind of getting put through the table, it didn't feel nice, but at the same time I was like, hell yeah, I'm the first female in LWF to be put through a table. So that was an incredible moment. Like, looking back, people have said to me, oh my gosh, you're crazy, but I just think, wow, I've done that. And yeah, it is a bit crazy, but I kind of think, and I've said this multiple times to so many people, if I don't follow my dreams, how can I teach my kids to follow theirs? And Odyssey, my Odyssey Pro Wrestling debut, I made my entrance with my son, Ellis, and the crowd were just so behind me. And to take him out with me, my daughter was poorly that day, unfortunately. Just having them involved just meant the world to me. And hopefully one day when I'm very old and probably decrepit, they'll be like, my grandchildren will be like, oh, our grandma used to be a wrestler. She used to fight the guy, dive through the ropes and hit people. Yeah, I think it's just making moments. Life is way too short. We're only here once, and I do not want to waste it. I've kind of spent so long. I've like mentioned about getting picked on in high school. I've had no confidence for a long time, and I kind of like realized as an adult, like, why am I wasting time worrying about what other people think? Just I can't swear on the radio, can I? Right,
yeah. I would say we actually had a wrestler on last week. His whole gimmick was basically like the F bomb and this, and I am the radio. If it was a podcast, if you were on BBG Wrestling or somebody like 3 Count Radio, I would say go ahead, do it. But unfortunately, I do have the radio that we're on actually. So I would say if you're gonna curse, at least put the at or whatever apostrophe you would have to bleep out the full curse word.
Okay, I won't curse, but screw what anyone else thinks. You
That's
have
fine.
to.
You could say screw. Screw you. You can say you.
Yeah, just life's way too short to care what anyone else thinks. So just if anyone else is interested in becoming a pro wrestler, why not go for it? There's so many good training schools around the world, and I think wrestling has definitely changed within the last few years, and it's a lot better place. And will hopefully continue to grow to be a bigger and better place. But yeah, there's so many moments. I think like every match that I've had, I could kind of think of a highlight, just like this has been wonderful. Like it's not always like that. There's been matches that I've had and I've come out like in tears thinking, oh, I didn't do good enough, or like that wasn't as good as I could be. But yeah, I'm just very, very thankful. I feel like I've definitely got a long way to go, but the experiences that I've had are definitely going to contribute to me going further with the wrestling. And yeah, I'm very thankful. All the promoters that have given me a chance and all the people that I've worked against. Yeah, just thank you to everyone, I guess.
Well, as Vince Neil of Motley Crue famously sang, Helana Razor is going to definitely be taken to the top. So we have a very good feeling that we're going to see her at the top. So listen, I knew you were a Motley Crue fan, so let me work in an old Motley Crue reference. Let me work in something from Too Fast for Love. Let me not give you a Dr. Feelgood reference because everybody knows Dr. Feelgood. So let me go old school, at least give you that reference. But obviously, there's also an expression that I've always used in the 3 years on the radio is that a rising tide lifts all boats. So you might have went through some different things, some different adversities in life, but I can assure you that your boat is going to be lifted and you are going to have a big 2022. You are going to be an inspiration for women. You are going to be an inspiration for many, many other people like you that will continue to soldier on and continue to do the great things. And one day we will see you on the big stage. I have a very, very good feeling about that. These are reasons why also you need to, again, February the 12th, get out to the LWF to the next event. I guarantee you, Helana Razor and Shining Wizard are going to put on a rock show. They are going to put on a show that's going to be the best show around, and make sure you get out there. It's going to be better than the Royal Rumble and the Super Bowl here in America combined. That's how excited we are about everything that Helena is doing. And Helena, I know that we love to speak with you more, but I realize you have a lot going on, and I know that we'll definitely speak with you maybe after February the 12th. And I want to give you the floor because it's been a tremendous honor to speak with you. I want to give you any closing thoughts, anything else you want to plug that we've missed or you want to replug again. And I can't thank you here enough for this opportunity, and I turn it over to you. And the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you so much. I've had such a good evening. There was one point earlier in the night I thought the kids weren't going to settle, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to bring them on the radio with me. But yeah, fun. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. And it's been nice to talk about wrestling as well. Like sometimes I feel like I'm wrapped up in like mum life. It has been nice to talk about wrestling. And yeah, thank you to everyone that has listened. It still amazes me that people want to listen to me. Like I said before, I'm just some weird chick with blue hair from the countryside.
I don't think you're that weird. Listen, Helene, I'm pretty weird
Hey,
looking in my own right. I've got mutton chops. I've got long hair. I'm wearing a police department shirt. So trust me. I mean, I'm weird in my own right. But obviously, listen, we're heard in 13 countries. So, I mean, people definitely want to hear these things. They like hearing us on the radio. And I think they're going to love what you've had to say so far.
well, thank you. No, it has meant a lot. And yeah, I think very importantly, I'm a very humble person as it is. And just, yeah, everyone keep rocking. Just stay true to yourself and have a great evening or morning wherever you are. What time is it in New York, by the
So in
way?
New York right now, it's 3:57 p.m. Eastern time. We're 5 hours behind you, so
Right.
you might be just about 9 o'clock. It's 5 hours behind you, and if you're in the West Coast, we do have some people like in California, like Los Angeles, they would be 8 hours back from you. So you're actually ahead of us in time. So that's the time difference. So no, it is the afternoon here, and it's actually a rare nice day for winter. It's like 42 degrees and it's sunny and it's not freezing because the last month here in New York, winter has been like as Ozzy would say, it's almost like barking at the moon. It's howling at us. I mean, I'm trying to work in as many heavy metal references
I
as
love
I can
it.
for you, because I'm sure you'd appreciate it. Whereas if I go on the air with anybody else, they'd be looking at me like the acid Stephen Cross, who's a hip hop fan. I'd have to work in a rap reference or two. But in this case, we would work in a heavy metal reference or two. But no, obviously, it's been a tremendous honor. We love to have you on anytime. I'd love to talk to you a lot more about wrestling and everything else you're doing. So, we love to.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll definitely work on that, and good luck on the 12th. I'm sure you'll make some history, and congratulations to you and all the ladies. We continue to look forward to cover it and recap it. After the 12th, we'll have Mikey Fitzgerald on the 7th, and we'll definitely speak with him, I'm sure, about you and much, much more else things that you are doing. And I'm sure Mr. Cross and Mr. Reese will have a thought or two on what you had to say. And I can't thank you enough, Helena. Congratulations on all of your success, and go get him out there on February the 12th.
Oh, thank you. Bye,
As we're here, you got it, no problem. As we're here on the Sports Report, the #1 global sports show with pro wrestling star hero, the LWF, that's Helana Razor, the heroine of heavy metal and the rock princess from Penny, who's going to give us the Razor's Edge-like performance coming up on February the 12th. And I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. We'll be back here later tonight here at New York time, and we'll also be back here Thursday afternoon here, Thursday evening with Lucy Simons of Odyssey Pro Wrestling, and we'll also have 2-Bit and, of course, Jennifer the Rat Queen Friday with the Scenario Nathan Gunn both live. So we'll have a lot more wrestling talk here during the week. And we were just with Helana Razor. You can follow Helana Razor on Instagram again at Helana_Razor. Also Shining Wizard. Please follow on Instagram, Shining_Wizard_LWF. Helana and Shining Wizard will be a huge part of the February 12th upcoming event, the Lancashire Riot. And Helana could make history, and Eitan Steen could be the #1 contender afterwards. So you definitely want to keep up to date with all the things they are doing. And I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening here on Sportswire Radio on sportnarium.com/player. You'll go back to your regularly scheduled programming. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, I thank you again. We'll be live here again tonight here at New York time. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce.